So from November 20 to December 18, 64 matches will be played in Qatar as the Middle East country hosts the 2022 edition of the World Cup. Well, Ghana has named its squad 26-man squad. Nankaye de e-forum. Yesi eti are edra nka koto de nko mfa ho. But Stonebwoy akabi nti yenso yebeka so we are seated for a conversation on that. Stonebwoy says some of the players they couldn't get the chance because of pay-per-play. And also any day Payula Bemu and say Memu. So stay with us as we have a discussion on the 26-man squad. Call this an extension of GhanaWeb Mundial. It's e-forum on GhanaWeb TV. The name is Benefo Boabin Abrantipa. Thanks for joining us. It's e-forum on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Abrantipa. Today on the show I have McDonald Nane Asari, aka Ambassador Romeo. He's an event organizer, artist manager, and a fan of Liverpool.
A diehard.
Hey, why do you love Liverpool so much?
I think it's in my DNA, so effortlessly. It's just some love born at birth. Misano Obiche Liverpool jersey. Like the kind of passion I'm the shatter, the if we are Messi, my sunshine. Like that's how it went, and then I ended up with Liverpool babies around Nima, where the new mosque has been built, Montreal Park, and there was Everton, there was Dortmund those days. So I was with Liverpool. So growing up, where else? I just had to. So my boy is Anfield.
Yeah, the Liverpool and the Black Stars to our baby.
Black Stars. Somebody like if there would be fairness in selection, you know, when in Brazil, football is a serious business, and it has so much national interest. Brazil, football is more than cocoa and gold, and it's really earning them so much. But here, individuals have actually perforated holes in those opportunities meant for national success, just for their personal gains. Until there was a football,
David Quay is an entertainment journalist and event coordinator. Mercury Republic. I don't know which team he supports, but I've seen him on a number of occasions watching the EPL. Which team do you support?
The biggest club in England, Chelsea. Chelsea, the Blues.
The Blues is the biggest club in England.
As it stands now.
As it stands.
Yeah.
He knows what he's saying is not true, so you just have to.
Because
I don't think
biggest club
there's no contention.
Manchester.
Manchester was in terms of trophy haul, Liverpool.
I think you have to give it to Liverpool. Man U fans will argue, but it's no
the
doubt.
debate is close between United and Chelsea. Latter decent. How many friends? Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest. Shoulders. Forget your. So let him enjoy his.
All right. So that's David Quay. Perez Ezwa is the head of sports at GhanaWeb. Perez, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. So my first time.
I don't think I need to ask which club. Because
I'm an Arsenal fan, a proud one.
Or Nick Kinata supporting one team. I'm a Arsenal fan, so they don't almost throw broken heart.
A proud Arsenal fan.
I'm told Kinata is Man U.
Man U, yeah.
Okay. But he said in his song, me Arsenal fan to means throw broken heart.
So we Arsenal, we are used to heartbreaks. So we are Ghana man broken hearts, Charlie, normal. So it was just an expression.
I see. Interesting. Okay. Guys, thanks for joining me. Quickly, let me take you through the list of the 26-man squad Otuado release. There is Abdul Manaf Nuruddin, Ibrahim Danlad, Lawrence Atizigi. Those are the goalkeepers. Midfielders are Thomas Partey, Elisha Owusu, Kudos Mohammed, Andreu Dede Ayew, Abdul Salis Samed, Daniel Kofichre. Defenders, we have Tariq Lamte, Alidu Seidu, Dennis Odoy, Gideon Mensah, Abdurrahman Baba, Daniel Amati, Salisu Mohammed, Alexander Jiku, Joseph Edu, with the strikers Inaki Williams, Antoine Semenyo, Daniel Banye Efriye, Osman Bukari, Jordan Ayew, Kamal Sowa, Isaaku Abdul Fatawu, and Kamal Din Suleimana. A press conference. For me, the bit I didn't like about the press conference is the fact that I don't know if it's the first time we have done a press conference to unveil the squad. It's the first time, right?
No.
It's not?
Yeah.
Okay. But what I did not like about the press conference is the fact that the coach decided not to give reasons for not choosing player A over player B, and he says, but really, if there is anything to be discussed, is why this player was picked over that player. Or is that not the case?
I think that should have been the main purpose of the squad. The reason why you wouldn't just announce it or release it via the FA website, but decide to do a press conference to allow you to afford the Ghanaians or the media the chance to ask certain questions. And I feel that answer by Coach Otoado was very evasive, was for me a bit of arrogance in there and kind of an insult to us because there were a lot of questions, really. Some of the players that were left out, some of us have genuine questions. There were a lot of reports. There's an audio leak of a communication he had with one of the said players. He had to clarify that. So for me, that was a very convenient way. We say he was trying to dodge all the controversies, but from his side, you say that was a good PR move. But the Black Stars belongs to Ghanaians. You are accountable to us. You are not accountable to the players. And if you decide to exclude players that most Ghanaians think deserve to be in the squad, you want to have the humility to afford us an opportunity to ask you and explain to us why I dropped player A and player Z. So that for me was a very convenient but kind of disrespectful to Ghanaians, because the Black Stars is ours and not for the players or the FA.
So how is that a good PR for the coach? Because, I mean, you should be able to tell us, if I have player B, in terms of speed and everything, A is ahead of B. It is the reason I dropped A and not B. For a leader of the team, your decision not to tell us, I don't know how that brings the PR thoughts. Yes.
The fact is, if he dared try giving details as to rationalizing why some players were called, some of his key players wouldn't have even made a squad. Reason being that it was glaring. You know, there are instances where they will tell you we need players who are actively playing in Europe or anywhere like that kind of in form. So players are encouraged to live up to speed in terms of their fitness and even their performances. It's sort of a motivation for people to fight for club representations. That's why some would even leave a top team and move to a club where they will be able to get playing time, so that they will be able to develop and also prove their worth in terms of national team collapse. Now, if all these bars or standards are set, and then it becomes evasive, not being used in terms of national team selection for World Cup squad, then you ask, what was it he said earlier when some players were clubless, when they were unattached, and they were like, if you're not attached to any club, you're not playing, it means you can't play, despite your experience. Now, there are players, like, visibly, even opponents will tell you, opposing countries will tell you, this player would disturb Ghana, so they will try to do some work on the player. They try to work on those players, and then you leave those players out. For instance, Pencil and then Schlop, they're the main people up for discussion. And undeniably, there are people justified to be in the squad. You see, I'm not, as to whether who is supposed to be in there, who is not supposed to be there, I don't have a problem, because many a times you pick players you least believe in, but they end up giving you the results desired. But then when it has to do with player appreciation, and the fact that he even made a comment that the desire to play, the willingness to represent the Black Stars, you ask, there was this Salis issue. Salis is a very good player. He had an issue some time ago when he couldn't appear when he was called up. Now, Salisu Mohammed, we had to beg him virtually. We had to beg him. So when we say a sauce for a goose is good for a gander, the selective amnesia in terms of their comment is what baffles people. Because if you're using a measuring rod for everybody, it should be the same measure. You get it. There's someone who was very good and then needed some rest. But within 7 days, it would have been okay. They dropped him. Fine player. You get it. But here we are, if assuming Dede or Jordan was injured or had maybe 2 weeks to recover or a week to recover, the discussion would be okay. We have about 3 weeks in the Mundial. So if he has about 8 days to recover,
we can fix him somewhere and then see whether
We don't have 3 weeks. We have 1 week.
No,
The whole-
we
the
are
entire-
being, I'm being optimistic.
In terms of
Should
going
we
further.
progress?
Yeah.
You get it. They will carry him along with the
hoping
hope
that
that
he'll get better.
no, this is a fine midfielder, and the guy is even fine now as we are talking.
Yeah.
He's fine. He needed rest because he'd been like back-to-back kind of performances. So he had that kind of stress that he needed rest. Now he's fine, and then you drop him and say he's injured. You get it. So it's really appalling. You are begging virtually all these British Ghanaian guys to come play for Ghana, like in Ketia. He declined. Hudson Odoi, he declined. Assuming they had accepted to play for Ghana, what was going to be the story?
But your acceptance is
I-
not a
I-
guarantee
I-
that
I-
you
is
play.
that the
All
thing
those
is-
who accepted,
the thing
all
is
those
that
who accepted in recent
the
times
caliber
have
of
been
the
called.
caliber of players matter. It does. If Nketiah walks into the Blasters team, Nketiah is starting. If Hasunodo walks into the Blasters, he's starting.
Exactly.
Can we make the same argument for Baba Idrisu? No. If I were the Blasters coach, Baba Idrisu will not be starting Blasters matches. So the coach can conveniently say, because you are out for 4 or 5 days, I'm going to leave you out. That's a very convenient excuse because he knows even if you were that, I have options. But Nketiah walks into the team and solves a problem. We have a striking problem. We are going to play Inaki Williams, who for most part of his career has played as a winger,
wide, yeah.
as a main striker, because we have a goal scoring problem, a glaring one. If Hasnode walks into the team, I don't remember the last time a Ghanaian player took the ball within the midfield, dribbled 4 or 5 players and scored. But that's what Hasnodo has been doing at Leverkusen. He walks into the Blasters team, he gives you that creative spark. So it's more of each player and how you are determined. For instance, the case about Baba Idrisu and Kofi Chere. Now, Ghana needs Kofi Chere.
Yeah.
In that box, you need someone who is very, especially for the opponents who will be playing, you need someone who is very economical with the ball, someone who doesn't lose balls easily, someone who is a workaholic. Now, in Kofi Chere, whether he's coming back from injury or not, you are guaranteed that kind of performance. Now, I'm looking at Baba Idrisu and ask myself, can Salis give me the same or better performance? And the answer is yes. So can I overlook Baba Idrisu and give that spot to another person?
Salis is
So you see,
good.
that's all I'm saying. That it's built more of the individual players determine the kind of treatment that they get from.
But the
it.
highlight of the whole discussion.
Let me just
Yes.
be the devil's advocate
Okay.
here. I mean, there's always a lot of conversations about who is called and who is not called, right? Now, in the initial comments, you asked about whether the coach had to explain, like you were saying, about the reasons why he had to drop this player or not picking that player. But I bet to ask whether we've seen any of these other countries' coaches have to explain why they pick players and leave other players out.
Exactly, yeah.
Have we ever seen
Yeah, it's
anything
been
like that?
tactical reasons alluded to.
It doesn't happen.
It
happens.
it happens every
It happens.
It happens.
It happens
almost
because there are
every-
coaches who would like.
Has Firmino, has the coach for Brazil explained why Firmino was
did.
not?
I think he
was
did.
not picked?
There is a reason. There's Gareth
The
Southgate.
coach.
Yes.
I'm saying the coach.
Yes. There are reasons.
What was the reason the coach
So, from someone closer to the coach.
gave? I said the coach. I didn't
No.
say someone closer to the coach.
The case was that
conversation-
the Brazil
Hold on,
Brazil
hold on,
squad
hold on,
was
hold
not announced via press conference.
Hold on.
Where no, I'm coming.
I'm
So
going to
the
come.
reason why
Okay,
I
so
maybe-
want to give you I want to
point.
give you a perfect example.
I'm
There are
If you are-
scenarios.
Gareth
Let me
Southgate-
make my
Gareth-
point.
Gareth-
Maybe the question should
No,
be,
Gar-
has there been a list released through a press conference that the coach has explained
Yes.
why
Yeah, Gareth
he
Southgate
chose
explained.
this? Does that
the-
put your argument
guess
into
that
your
put it
process?
The English
perspective.
team.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
the English
And he
team.
says
Gareth
yes.
Southgate explained why he picked Harry Maguire over Tomori and the other guys. I don't agree with him. I don't see any reason why Harry Maguire, with all that foolish boy he's been playing, should be going to the World Cup.
You see,
But he explains, and you see, and that brings to a point that he was making earlier about picking certain players who are not playing well to the World Cup.
Yeah.
National team football, the dynamics are a bit different. Most coaches rely a lot on trust. So Giroud, for instance, could go a whole season without scoring 10 goals and will still make the French squad because Deschamps knows that per the system I play, he's someone I can rely on.
Catalyst.
So you from the outside, for instance, in Ghana, 2010, Milo was asked why he picked Stephen Appiah. He said, I picked him because I know, even though he's not fit, but just one single pass from Appiah could cut a defense open and get me a goal. So when it comes to national team, there are a whole lot of things. Pencil, for instance, and you mentioned Pencil and Schlop. You ask yourself, ever since Coach Otuado became the Blasters coach, how many matches have they played?
But Pencil was our best player.
At the AFCON.
Yes.
Was it under Otuado? No. Is he a player that Otuado can back? And that was the conversation that happened between him. He said, since I came, I've had certain players. You are good. You are getting the numbers, but I feel there are others that I can rely on who have shown in games that they are players that I can rely on, and I don't think I can bank my hopes on.
But Anton Semenyo came, he hasn't even played more than 10 minutes.
You see, this is the reason why I'm saying, for instance, there's always going to be a challenge about who you think should be in the team and who shouldn't be in the team. That is why we have who is the coach and then the technical team to decide who is supposed to play for them. No, I'm coming. Hold on. The reason why I'm saying that is it is just like how we have, people being nominated for our award. The public always have their favorites. Yeah. And they always feel like, oh, this guy, I'm watching him and I think that he's supposed to be in the Grammys. I've listened to Stonebwoy songs. I know we'll talk about Stonebwoy very soon. He's produced certain songs that you feel that this song should be a Grammy-nominated record, but it is not in there. And you listen to a certain song or some of the nominees who are in there, and you're like, this song, how does it make it into the Grammy and Stonebwoy doesn't make it? So there are certain technicalities and certain reasons that the technical team based on to decide who's supposed to play for them.
The reason,
again, people always have their opinions about who's supposed to play or who's not supposed to play.
Exactly. So
now, look at what's the name? Tre, for instance. Before Tre was coming into the team, who knew that Tre was going to be a pivotal player in the Blaster squad? Nobody really paid attention to Tre in his team, but he has become now somebody you are banging your hopes on as the man who can be very economical with the ball.
Point is that...
The point is, there are certain players who have been called into the team now that you, as an observer, may have your own opinion.
Is that not the reason the coach should have given an explanation that, okay, this person doesn't have... what's the word for it? Number of plays in their...
The technical know-how. In terms of his
like the number of minutes he has played for his club and the number of times.
Playing time.
But for me as the coach, I see a promising player. It's the reason I've chosen him over that player. And you can use the Kofi Tre example to back it. Then we'll say, okay, you are the coach. You've given your reason. Even though we don't agree with you, we accept it.
So I think that can be the challenge that we've had with him not explaining, the reasons for picking the one player.
So we need to progress with all these lists. Which exclusion was the shocker? Which one would you say, as for this person should have been there?
Any coach is justified picking any players of their choice, but it becomes debatable when it's glaring that the player X and Y are performing. And football is about numbers. The people have numbers to show. The people have minutes to show. Consistency in terms of fitness. And the kind of mindset you need in terms of the Mundial is such that you're going to miss stars. So technically there's this mindset that, okay, your players should be able to rub shoulders with the stars so that they don't go ball watching. Because it happens that people become starstruck and they end up being wallowed. So you also put your best foot forward. And football is not done in secrecy. Like a nomination, it's your award. So you set the modalities. But football is like an open chapter. You can read. I can also read. But we veer off only when you know that the strategy of the coach might not suit a particular player. But you ask me, if you're talking of Otuado's strategies in terms of the 3-back he wanted to play, the best players he needed to succeed in this venture has to do with Schlop and Pencil. Yes. So he defeats his personal principles in terms of his strategies. And at the end of the day, if we end up being found wanting in those areas in the World Cup, then people will remind him of his negligence. You get it? But at the end of the day, he could also end up amassing the results to buttress his claim that I brought. Because I remember Aminu Dramani, I keep using him as a reference, that when he was picked, The whole country came to a standstill. That's why I was very careful. I said I'm not against any player being picked, but I'm advocating for those who are good and have not been picked. You get it? So, but sometimes a place like Dede Jordan, Dede Ayew with his charisma and his experience, if he's picked for whatever reason, I don't have a problem. When they become too many in the squad, then it becomes worrying. That's just the problem.
If you look at the Black Star squad, Dede and his brother are the only two guys who actually have had World Cup experience. None of the other players have had World Cup experience. So for those
it makes sense to have
them because at least you need somebody who has the experience and will be able to spark a certain set of, you know, play between the players. They need to have everything that we actually roll on.
But not
you
just
know,
World Cup experience. You also need
top
club players.
No,
even when someone
he talked about Giroud.
Performance.
He talked about Giroud, for instance. Trust, aside trust, it is also about experience. There are certain technical stuff that somebody who has, if you have somebody like an Iniesta in your midfield, he has built some level of experience and understands where he could play the pass and the effect it could have. You understand? So Dede and his brother, people may have problems with them being in the squad, but based on the experience that they have. And also another thing that I want to say is that the people who are in the squad right now, a lot of people may have challenges with them, but sometimes when you give people the benefits of the doubt, people want to also prove to the world and prove to themselves that, because the World Cup is actually a time where if you shine, you get the prospect of being attracted to bigger clubs. When you look at this guy, what's his name? The guy who eventually ended up in Real Madrid. After that, his powerful striker, I've forgotten his name.
Apari?
No,
James Rodriguez.
James Rodriguez. Yeah. It was the World Cup that gave the guy the kind of, you know, exposure that he needed. So it could be a time that some of these players that some of us feel that they don't have what it takes to be in the squad may actually go and prove themselves that this is the time.
And the narrative will change.
The narrative will change.
Okay, so let's take a quick break. Before we set the tone, let's take a quick break. When we return, Romeo will pick up from where he left, and then we'll look at Stonebwoy's Twitter post or Stonebwoy's tweet, which has actually brought about this whole discussion. Because Rocky Daoni has been nominated for the Grammys on the third occasion.
Yeah.
And so we should be talking about that, but definitely we'll pass one or two comments. But, you know, score the no say idea and for interest na Stonebwoy and so I can be in so there. It's eForum on GhanaWeb TV. We take a quick break. When we return, there is more. Welcome back. You're watching eForum on GhanaWeb TV. The name is Abrantepa, and on this episode we are having a conversation about the Black Stars squad, and that's because our entertainers have been reacting. Say, and you're more crying, could be intimate because walk up on your boy the entertainment eba. Say, Uncle Fopi ayenyum, Aquabo ayenyum. Before we're going on a break, Romeo, you wanted to say something was setting the tone. Quickly,
what Kwe said sets the tone for the kind of mindset Stonebwoy highlighted. That you know, your appearance in the Mundial increases your value, especially if you step on the pitch and you actually put in a good performance. So the mindset is that some people. Within the quarters of the GFA, or some leaders are trying to push their players from other clubs so that they will use that platform to market their players and add more value to them to accrue more profits. And that ends up not being of national interest because it becomes an individual target. Because every player in the world would want to play at the World Cup. Now, my biggest challenge is that a player like Jeffrey Schlupp could have played for the English team. I remember those players who were convinced to switch nationality or allegiance to play for the national team. Now, when such players are being disappointed, one too many. It becomes a sort of a cautious reminder to others who have
want to switch nationality.
Exactly, because they will start thinking twice. Kevin Prince Boateng is a casualty, and he Schlop is also one.
The Schlop issue is
that when you, so far as you accept to switch nationality, we must call you.
But no, it's justified because Semenyo is in there. Inaki is even last minute.
Ambrosius is not in there.
It's not in there. But
Ransford Yeboah is not in there. Patrick Pfeiffer is not in there. So the fact that you switch, that's not guaranteed. I understand the Schlop argument. On footballing reasons, I don't think anyone can argue that against it. Jeffrey Schlop should be in the Black Stars and should be starting.
And the unfortunate comment made by the coach is such that he says he hasn't watched him play. Meanwhile, he plays in the same club with Jordan Ayew. And he is better off performer in that same club.
That's the coach. Those are reports. We haven't heard from.
Yes.
Yesterday, the Schlop issue, we broke it down nicely on GhanaWeb yesterday, and the Schlop Pinto issue, and anyone can. I think it's beyond football. There are football reasons, but it's beyond football. There are issues of trust, issues where the coach wanted them at certain times and they were not available. And he feels that due to the issues around those times, he feels if I needed you then, I didn't show up for me, I have moved on. Basically, it's that because we understand there were meetings between him and the coach where Coach Utoado explained to him, I needed you in my team. I want to play this system, this style, and you perfectly fit my style. Now, I needed you for the Brazil games. Unfortunately, Schlop, according to the reports we are hearing, did not honor those call-ups.
I think they were still in conversation and convincing him to come, just like they did for Sally's moment.
Otuado has moved on. According to the people close to Schlop, that is not true. Now, you go to the Pentel issue, and we understand that during the Karen Cup...
The Palmer issue?
No. You see, that Palmer, it's a whole GFA politics. It has got nothing to do with GFA. The Pentel issue, what we are hearing is that in the Karen Cup, the call-out for the Karen Cup, you know, he came for the Afcon qualifiers. Yeah. Then they had to go and play the Karen Cup. Now, there was a letter from his club to the FA that the guy had some minor injuries, and they were going to preseason. So allow him go to the club and play more so that at least he can overcome that injury and also integrate well with his new teammates ahead of
It makes sense.
Now, unfortunately for the guy, there was a video of him in Ghana instead of Belgium. And now that video got to the coach, who got disappointed because he was expecting it to be in Belgium. And that video had Pencil playing football. This is someone that you claim you're not 100% fit and you're playing football in a Sokoria Park. Now, what the person who sent the video to Otuado did not explain to him was that video was from a charity event.
A charity game, yeah.
And the guy had gone to do donation and that for his older club and just other team. So it wasn't just, so that's, for the Pencil and Schlop issue, that's all that it's about. Otuado feels that he did them at some point, they didn't, and he feels he's moved on. But I feel that.
Now okay, so I may have a problem with that because the reason is there have been certain players who the team has needed at a point in time, and they've said, no, I'm not coming.
Who are those players?
And we had to put Salisu, for instance.
The question is that Salisu walk into your team? That's the point I made earlier.
No, Schlop
will actually work in
Can we do without Schlop? Yes.
But we can also do without Salisu.
He improves your team.
No,
your coach is going to play a 3-back. And in modern 3-back system,
even in modern 3-back,
you need a left-sided centre-back. Yeah. Which Ghanaian left-sided centre-back you get?
Right. So when the list was released, it's a problem. We are quite a VGM is near releasing list of nominees. So when the list was released, Stonebwoy made a tweet. And that's actually what has formed the basis for this discussion. There are players who are supposed to play in the squad. There are players who are supposed to be in the squad who are not here because of #pay to play. And he tweets at GFA and asks why. The pay to play no. Oba entertainment a friend Payola. So let me ask a straight question. Is it a myth or it is a reality?
It's a reality. It's been a reality because there is an evidence to that, Ishmayate. I think since that young man made that revelation, he's never seen the national team jersey.
Yeah.
And being close to some players, most players, I think even from the junior ranks, it happens. I know of one Charles Amankwa who was supposed to be in the under-17, under-20 team with those times, the one that won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Those moments, if you are picking 3 players from that squad, he was going to be part of the 3 players. He was disciplined. He knew how to play. If you go to Medina, they call him Kimpele. He was supposed to make some payment. He couldn't make that payment. And then he was dropped when they went to Egypt trials. So the evidence are there, like just from our junior ranks. So until those realities are washed out in terms of attitudinal, it will still persist even at the highest
level. But that was just an incident.
It's not easy. You hear too many. It's not a myth.
It's a norm. We've unfortunately
come to accept it.
Normalize it, especially for the youth teams that if you don't pay, you don't go. And one day, I don't know if we can.
It's the same reason why Salis Mohammed. Let me not cut you, but is a rationale behind Salis Mohammed's bitterness in terms of not wanting to play for the Black Stars because of what he went through. You get it. If you don't pay, you don't play. And then if he finds his way through and then ends up in Europe, you want him to play for you? That's where the argument comes in.
This argument, has been in the space for a very long time. And it is not as if what Stonebwoy is saying, this is the first time that somebody is making these allegations. Or, I mean, for those who believe that it's actually the thing. If you could remember in 2019, right, Charles Taylor made these same allegations about having to play.
Even Anas expose
about having to pay before he can play.
Was an element of
Anas expose also brought some element of pay to play before you can actually be in the Black Star squad.
My statement is that these are past events. Okay. With the Stonebwoy tweets, it's not backed by any facts.
It's not true.
He just makes a statement.
With specific to this Black Star squad, I won't say there could be some form of influence peddling, but there was never pay to play.
No, but once there's an iota of...
So is it because of the previous incident that is influencing this tweet?
Now, the precedent is always the pivot.
No, I mean, but those days we didn't have Otuado. And this is a man who said at a press conference that I'm not quoting him, I'm just paraphrasing. Like he's a man of his own.
Oh, CK said the same thing. CK said the same thing today. He's saying something different. You see, it's out of diplomacy.
You see, when it comes to Black Stars scholars, there is a whole lot. Even chiefs have a. We've spoken to a former sportsman. We said that one of the biggest chiefs in this country during was it 2015 or 2014 World Cup called him and said, I want you to influence the FA to include these players. So even chiefs, MPs, politicians, there is all kinds of influence when it comes to Black Stars Club. That one there. Not only pay to play, everything. And in the context of this Stonebwoy conversation, or tweet, I struggle to think that there was an element of pay to play. Maybe we can look at certain players and say, okay, they are in there because of certain figures at the FA. But as in offering monies, no, I'm not sure. There was an element of bribery. No.
You see, there's this issue about, influence, all right? And I think that is something that we need to accept, that in every aspect of this world, there are people who are movers and shakers of every industry we find ourselves in. This is not rocket science. It is the reality, and we always want to try and run away from the reality, but that is what it is. You understand? It is not as if it becomes a problem when the influence lead to fielding or selecting people who it is so glaring that they don't qualify or do not have the basis to
like people making it to the World Cup,
to be in the squad or to be in the certain places that you may not want them to be in terms of if it is nomination in music. Like, it is glaring that this guy, he has not produced anything. There's nothing to show that he's supposed to be in the best artist of the year category, but he's there. But the truth is, there is influence everywhere, right? And that is what we need to accept. But the issue, the reason why I will have a problem with a Stonebwoy tweeting that, I feel that Stonebwoy can make a comment about, okay, he disagrees with the squad list, but I will not be comfortable with Stonebwoy adding a pay to play, which is, for some, it's an allegation, right? Because Stonebwoy is an artist that I'm not sure he'll be comfortable reading certain stories that are allegations about him and being reported as if those are the
In fact,
realities.
he has actually spoken against that. That there's too much negativity in the
in the
media.
industry. So if you, but my point is, the reason why I will allow a Stonebwoy to make a comment about the Black Stars is that he's also a citizen. He contributes to the tax net of this country. And it is through our taxes that these players are paid. And so he is free to make comments if he disagrees with the squad. Same way somebody would disagree with him as an artist and pass comment. But once you make a claim and hashtag it and make it seem as if you have evidence to buttress what you are saying, then it becomes problematic.
What if it's a direct, maybe it could be a direct conversation from play. You know, most of these players are close to
that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you could have gotten that kind of direct conversation.
We can look at the
discussion.
squad. We can look at the squad.
But
and I can tell you on authority, see, of all the players in that squad, now who are the players that we think deserve to be in the squad that are not? Maybe
Slop and then Paintel.
Slop, Paintel, and
Ashmil.
Yeah. Okay.
Now you ask yourself, who are their replacements? Let's take, for instance, Paintel. You have Fatai Sahaku, Osman Bukhari, a whole lot of Jordan Ayew. These guys
Jordan Ayew is classified as a midfielder.
I don't know if we have the squad, but
no, Jordan is in the
wingers.
No,
he's
strikers.
not a winger.
The strikers.
yes, all the wingers we have,
yeah.
all the wingers we have, none of them will have to pay money to be in these Black Stars. None of them. I have my issues with Fatai Sahaku being in the team.
Exactly.
I have because I feel that perhaps
I would have had that kind of.
I would have reserved that spot, but Fatai Sahaku, for what he's done, doesn't have to pay money to be in the Black Stars.
Would you say that Stonebwoy opened himself up for criticism? For instance, there are people saying that, oh, focus on your music, do this, do that. Because in previous conversations where we've had our celebrities say one or two things, especially when it's politics, they are asked to focus on their music. Is it because he did not provide any evidence, one, or we are just finding a way to tell our creatives, Masa, go and sing, go and act?
No, Arantepa, I don't think that is the case. The reason why I would say that is not the case is because recently we had Sarkodie on an interview saying that, you know, he feels that there are certain people who are supposed to make certain comments about international reach. He's talking about people in this industry being the plugs to the industry. So people should be able to go outside and connect our artists outside. If they are always comparing Ghanaian entertainment industry and the artists to their Nigerian counterparts, then our celebrities, how do you call it, our radio presenters and co should also go outside there and be the link between our artists and then the international market. So ordinarily, one would think that he believes that there are certain people, from Sarkodie's angle, there are certain people who are supposed to make certain comments about certain actions of people. Those who he believes that have actually lived up to that level to be able to make those comments. So if you've not been able to go outside your domain and be on the international front as an individual, don't come and pass. I'm coming. Don't come and pass comment about me not going on the international level, which I feel that it's a 50-50 issue to talk about.
It's not 50.
But
I think it's
no,
hogwash.
No, it's not hogwash.
No,
because
it
hold
is.
on.
You see, it's like saying when you're a president, America is a president. That's not
No,
the fact that the
I'm
person
coming,
has not
I'm
been a
coming.
president.
The reason why I find it a 50-50 issue is that before president, I'm not trying to be political, right? Before the current president came to office, you and I heard some of the promises, some of the statements that he made before coming to office. There were certain comments about the fact that he has not been a president before, and so the things that he's saying may not be the reality when he gets the opportunity to be president. And I believe that the current status that we are finding ourselves in, those comments are now coming back to bite at him. That we told you that you've not been a president before. And so when you are talking as if you know what it is to be a president, you have to be very moderate in it. So that's why I say it is 50-50. Because for you as an ordinary person, you think that, this guy, why is it not easy for him to go and collaborate with Kendrick Lamar? Because he's a Sarkodie. Why can't he collaborate with Nicki Minaj? He's a Sarkodie. But he came to explain when he was doing his talk about the fact that when it comes to some of these artists, the type of contract that they are signed onto, it is easy for you to record a song with them, but it is very difficult for you to release the song. because of the contractual issues they have with their record labels. So if you sit outside there not having that knowledge about these things, and then you pass comments that, oh, Sarkodie is a local champion, Shatawale is a local champion, it becomes problematic. So that is why he feels that we need to be moderate when it comes to some of the comments that we pass about people in terms of their achievements and what have you. So for a Stonebwoy, for instance, the reason why I say that he's free to also pass comments about the Black Stars because he actually contributes to the tax net of that pays the Black Stars.
Okay, that point has
the
been
only problem is he making allegation without
Perez wanted to come in when we were making the point. So let me pick Perez and then we wrap up the conversation.
The notion that creatives and particular footballers should stick to their profession, for me, it stems from the ill-conceived perception or stereotypical view that footballers and creatives they don't know anything, so all that they do is just go and sing a song or just go and play for. But a footballer has less than a second to make a decision on the field of play. Do you know what it takes for someone to sit down and come up with some creative song that will make a hit? That person is a genius. Now, it's because they have decided to channel their intelligence or genius into a field, a different field. It doesn't mean that they are not intelligent. If Stonebwoy and co decide to say, okay, we are venturing into politics and decide to contribute to the political discussion, sit down, research, and make meaningful contributions to this country, a whole lot of our politicians, Charlie, they're not going to stand. Yesterday, we saw in Parliament what happened. See the concert party that was there. These are honorable men, but look at some of the arguments they were making. And I can bet my last coin, the likes of Samini, John Dumelo, and those guys can make meaningful and better contributions to national discourse. That's some of the people we've been hearing on air almost every day, parading as politicians. So that view that, okay, because you're a musician, so you don't have to talk about national. No. I'm privy to a conversation Stonebwoy had with a government appointee last year after he released the song about Galamsey. And trust me, that was a very rich, conversation that Stonebwoy gave, that some of the people that we every day we hear or listen to on radio talk about Galamsey. We've never heard them say it. And it's another factor is also because of the politics. It's like, okay, you serve both MPP and NDC. You play football. You give excitement to both MPP and NDC. You sing a song. The people who patronize your song are MPP and NDC. So because of the nature of our politics, we are trying to push these guys into a corner where once they make a point, we give it political polarization. We feel that, okay, because he's speaking against the government, he's NDC. Or because he's making a case for the NDC, he's making an argument that perhaps favors the stance of the NDC, he's MPP. So those are the things that are perhaps preventing or kind of standing against our celebrities. But trust me, we are very intelligent folk. If you sit with some of our Black Stars players, you sit down with them and hear some of the things that they say about the country, you'll be surprised. They know, they read, they know everything.
Me, I don't even have a problem with people knowing. All right.
Do that in 30 seconds.
I don't have a problem with people knowing and speaking about stuff, because just like how it is easy for you to go and read and reproduce in an exams, it is not the same when it comes to the practicalization of the things that you say. We have people who have look at the current Minister of State who was sacked. He's a Harvard scholar. He's been to all the top Ivy League schools that you perhaps have not been. And he has all the knowledge about these things. But what are we seeing in the ministry that he finds himself? So there's a thin line between having the opportunity to speak about the things because you are exposed to them and knowing what it takes to be able to get the things done.
Right. So that's
see, I don't have a problem with people sharing their opinion regardless of their positions. But the consistency. When you say A today and you have to criticize, tomorrow if similar thing occur, make sure you criticize. So it's the inconsistency that puts people out there, because there are people who are constantly bashing what is not good, and they are free. But when it happens that when Mr. A does this and you attack the person, but B, you turn a blind eye, that's where people question your opinions. I feel everyone has an opinion.
Right, so that's McDonald Nanea, sorry, aka Romeo. You also heard the views of David Quay and then Perez Ezra. Wow. Well, we are not done yet. We are going for Vogue because Doreen is set. A lot of things happened during the Miss Malaika event, and so she has packaged everything in Vogue.
This is the Emerald season for Miss Malaika. Guys, you won't believe what's going on, and you wouldn't believe the number of people that trooped in looking so fashionable, you know, succulicious, if that's even a word, because I'm not sure how to describe what's going on now. But I'm amazed by the number of people who turned up looking dope, dapper, and spicy. Now we're gonna delve right into the event happening inside, and I'm your girl, Doreen Abanama Abaya. See you inside.
If you are here, live at the Grand Arena, a round of applause for yourselves. It gives me so much pleasure to say you are very warmly welcome to this extraordinary homecoming finale of Miss Malaika Ghana. The winner, our Emerald Queen, Miss Malaika Ghana, is Zakia.
It feels great, it feels amazing, like all sorts of amazement. I'm so happy to be the queen.
I saw you crying, and I was like,
right, because it's like a dream. First hijabi queen, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself.
and your family, everybody is here.
Yeah, they are all happy because I've been able to make it, and I've made all the Muslim society proud.
And that's the first time in history, actually.
Yeah.
You are the Emerald Queen and a Muslim.
Yeah.
For that matter.
Isn't that great?
It is amazing.
Yeah.
So now, what's the next way forward?
To embark on my project, which is creating awareness on cervical cancer. Yeah.
And that story you told us was really true.
Yeah, it was. It
my
happened to my
condolence.
auntie. That was why I decided to embark on that project.
Zakia. She won Miss Malaika Emerald season. We have finally come to the end of the program, and I'm your girl Dorina Banmabaya. As you can tell, it was all fun with so many fashionable people passing through. We are here, and we've come to the end. And see you next time.
Thanks, Doreen, for the segment Vogue, and we are wrapping up. Yes, we're wrapping up the discussion. And this one, please do it 30 seconds for me. Exactly what do you think the Blasters will look like in Qatar? Do you think we are going to perform? Romeo, let's do it straight.
Yeah,
30
one thing
seconds.
about the Black Star I know is when they are under pressure, when people least expect so much from them, that's when they come to the party. So I wouldn't be surprised they go beyond a measured threshold as thought by many people. I'm a doubter, yes, because they didn't pick some players, but I'm a firm believer because I'm Ghanaian and I want to see them go far.
Where do you think we can get to?
Maybe a semi-final would do.
Dave?
I'm also just hoping and wishing, and wishing for the best with the team. Sometimes, those that we at least expect are the people who pull up surprises. So I'm trusting in the coach that he's going to get us to the promised land. Hopefully, a semi-final, as he's saying.
Perez.
I also believe it.
Yeah, quite
If you didn't hear him, was he angry?
we can hope against all hopes. We are in, like yesterday, I was telling someone, if this was an AFCON squad, if this our squad was for the AFCON, I would have been happy because I feel we would have done well or perhaps won the AFCON. But the World Cup, we should group new much, Charlie. Our players will try, but Charlie, we do anything.
Okay, Perez says the players will try, but we're not going to do anything. What do you also think? Do you think that the Black Stars can actually qualify from the group stage to the quarterfinals to the semi and perhaps leave the trophy?
Real trophy.
Yeah, trophy never fair. I don't know what you think, but let the conversation keep on going, and that's how we wrap up on this edition of eForum on GhanaWeb TV. Let me remind you that there is a GhanaWeb Mundial, which is our analysis of the World Cup activities. So our team, made up of Perez, Joel, Ima, Dani, Adam Afio, and everybody at GhanaWeb will come your way. In fact, we have started giving you all the things that you need to know about the World Cup, the Black Stars team, the side attraction, the human interest stories, everything, So on Fridays, you have right? You have
Mondays and Fridays.
The show, an episode on GhanaWeb TV. It's showing on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays and Fridays, go to GhanaWeb TV and then watch the GhanaWeb Mundial. Once that the World Cup, okay. Thanks for watching. I've been on the show with McDonald Nania Asari, aka Romeo. Is Ambassador Romeo, yes, Medina Assemblyman, event organizer, football fanatic, Liverpool fan, pa. David Kwe is with Mercury Republic, event coordinator, and also a journalist, a supporter of Chelsea, the Blues. He says it's the best team, but they say Nkashi. Perez Ezoakwao is the head of sports, GhanaWeb. My name, Benefo Boabin Abrantipa. Thank you for watching eForum on GhanaWeb TV.